The woman who can walk away controls everything. Sometimes folks mistake it for being harsh or emotionally shut off. But let me be crystal clear right now. This ain't about playing games or pretending you don't care. It's about a whole different kind of strength. One that's rooted not in checking out of love, but in being attached to yourself. The woman who can walk away ain't emotionless. She feels deeply. She wants connection, but she never lets her desire for somebody else override her value for herself. She don't let her emotions hold her hostage. She knows that loving somebody don't mean surrendering her standards. And it sure don't mean sacrificing her peace. That kind of woman is powerful, not because she's controlling, but because she's in control of her life, her energy, and her boundaries. Now listen, most people think control in relationships comes from trying to manage the other person, what they say, what they do, how they feel about us. But that ain't real control. That's just insecurity wearing a costume. Real control is internal. It's knowing that no matter what the other person does, you're going to be okay. That you're not relying on somebody else to complete you. You're choosing them to complement you. And here's the shift, y'all. When you don't need somebody to choose you, that's when you become the most powerful choice. Because you're no longer coming from desperation. You're coming from discernment. Think about it. How many people stay in relationships long past the point they know it's right for them? They stay because they're scared. Scared they won't find better. Scared they'll be alone. Scared they're asking for too much. And when fear drives your decisions, you start compromising your standards. You start shrinking yourself. You start begging for breadcrumbs and calling it love. But the woman who can walk away don't do that. Not because it's easy, but because she's trained herself to value peace over chaos, self-worth over validation, and long-term fulfillment over short-term comfort. And this ain't about giving ultimatums or threatening to leave every time somebody messes up. It's much more subtle and a whole lot more powerful than that. It's the quiet confidence of knowing if this don't honor me, I'm letting it go. That kind of energy, it changes the whole game. Because the moment somebody senses that you can walk, not because you don't care, but because you care deeply about yourself, it creates a shift. It sets a standard. Suddenly, you're not the one sitting by the phone waiting for a text, overanalyzing their tone, or trying to fix everything to make it work. You're not trying to earn your place in somebody's life. You're simply watching to see if they're worthy of a place in yours. Now, there's a difference between attachment and addiction. One nurtures you, the other drains you. And the woman who can walk away knows the difference. She knows when love starts to cost her her joy, her dignity, or her peace, it's too expensive. Now, let me be real with you. Walking away don't always look strong. Sometimes it feels like heartbreak, like disappointment, like letting go of a dream. But strength ain't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's just choosing not to answer the text you want to answer because you know it'll lead you right back into a cycle you've outgrown. Sometimes it's waking up alone instead of waking up next to somebody who makes you feel lonelier than being alone ever could. And I get it. It's not always easy. But every time you choose yourself, you're reconditioning your mind. You're saying, I am enough. I am worth choosing. And if somebody else can't see that, it don't mean I need to try harder. It means I need to walk away. And here's the kicker, folks. People feel that energy. They feel when you're in a place of wholeness versus a place of lack. When you have the ability to walk, you're not negotiating from fear. You're standing in truth. And that makes people show up differently around you. Some will rise to meet you. Others will fall away. And that's okay. You're not for everybody. And you are never meant to be. You're not meant to be chosen by somebody who needs you to shrink first. You're meant to be chosen exactly as you are. So when I say the woman who can walk away controls everything, I don't mean she manipulates the game. I mean she transcends it. She lives on a different level. Because when you know your worth, you stop chasing what costs you it. The woman who can walk away don't just know her power. She lives it. And that's what makes her unforgettable. When you hear somebody say, the woman who can walk away controls everything, it's easy to assume it's all about playing hard to get. But it's so much deeper than that. It's about something far more powerful. It's standards. Now look, standards ain't about being difficult. They're not about being bossy or rigid or having some crazy checklist nobody can live up to. Standards are about your worth. They're about the way you teach the world how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. A woman with high standards ain't out here trying to control anybody. She's not controlling. She's clear. She knows what she values. She knows what she's not willing to compromise on. And she ain't afraid to stand in that truth, even if it means being alone for a while. Now, here's the truth most people won't tell you. High standards don't scare off the right people. They scare off the wrong ones. And that's exactly what they're supposed to do. If somebody disappears because you wouldn't settle for bare minimum effort, you haven't lost a thing. You've saved your time. You've spared your heart. You've created space for somebody better. That's not rejection. That's clarity. Too often we confuse being chosen with being valued. So we start shrinking. We lower the bar just to keep somebody around. We tell ourselves, maybe I'm asking too much. Maybe I need to be more flexible. Maybe if I just hang on a little longer, they'll come around. But deep down, we know we're bargaining with our self-respect. The woman who can walk away don't negotiate her non-negotiables. That's what makes her powerful. Not because she's threatening to leave, but because she don't need to stay where love ain't being honored. Think about it. We live in a world where everybody is afraid of being alone. So what do most people do? They settle. They cling, they compromise over and over again until they don't even recognize themselves. But the woman who can walk away, she don't fear solitude. She chooses it over settling. And that's where the real control is. Because the minute you're willing to lose somebody who isn't showing up for you, you stop being afraid. You start being free. And in that freedom, you become magnetic. Now look, there's a reason people are drawn to women who know their worth. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. It's the way she holds herself. It's the peace she has from knowing she don't have to chase love. She is love. She brings value into every space she enters. So, she don't waste energy trying to convince anybody of her worth. And the moment you stop trying to convince somebody to see you, the moment you start living like somebody already worthy, the game changes. You stop vesting in potential. You start responding to patterns. You stop over-explaining your needs and you start expecting them to be met. Not through entitlement, but through self-respect. When you have standards, you're not saying you need to be perfect. You're saying you need to be intentional. You need to be consistent. You need to meet me where I am, or I'm willing to walk away with love, with peace, but with certainty. You don't do